Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Krishna ki jai, Bhagavatam ki jai, Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Welcome Jagannath Priya Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, the floor is all yours. You can get started when
Okay.
your schedule allows.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. Nice to be amongst all of you this morning. My humble pranams to Pyare Prabhu, Matajis and all the organizers of the maintainers and organizers of the Hartford Congregation online programs.
Hare
So,
Krishna, our obeisances to you.
Hare Krishna.
We're very happy to see you again. Thank you for coming.
Hare Krishna. So, I was just requested a couple of days ago, so I didn't have a specific topic in mind, but I was reading through some texts recently in perspective of this International Yoga Festival, which is coming up on the 21st of June. I think, how many days more now? 2 more days. So I thought let's discuss something related to that. When we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially when you read right from the beginning, the first canto itself, we come across devotees who left their lives, leaving their bodies. They were meditating upon the Lord. And right in the beginning itself, we see how Parikshit Maharaj left his body. Then in the first canto, all these episodes come. How Bhishma Dev, he left his body. Then how Dhritarashtra left his body. Then how the Pandavas, they went out of their kingdoms in Hastinapur and how they left their bodies. So while meditating upon this aspect of International Yoga Day, this thought came into my mind that how has Bhagavatam dealt with this subject? And while thinking over this, it struck me, of course, it has come many times in the text, but it just struck me that all of the personalities which we see in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam begins with reflection of life by the greatest achievers of those times. They are reflecting their own lives through the prism of dharma. And when you see all of them, almost all of them, including Kunti, Gandhari, who were the women, and then Uddhav, Vidur, Maitreya, all these personalities, almost all of them who come in the first canto, which sets the premise for Srimad Bhagavatam, everybody left their bodies in the Himalayas. Now I have been to the Himalayas, I think more than 10-15 times in our, taken many devotees also to those yatras. In modern times, we have nice roads, we have good access. People go to the Himalayas to come back. Nobody goes to just go and never come back. All the characters discussed in the first canto of Bhagavatam, they went to the Himalayas, most of them who are discussed, except for Bhishma Dev who passed away on the battlefield. All others, they went there. They didn't go to the Himalayas to come back again. They didn't go just to take darshan of their lordship and come back. They went because they realized that this is the place where the form of the Lord in the form of Nara and Narayan Rishi, they are present there in Badrikashram, and they are doing tapasya since time immemorial. They have been engaged in tapasya for the welfare of the mankind. So all of them decided to depart there. Obviously, now this is not mentioned in the Bhagavatam, but we can come out with this obvious understanding that when it was an inaccessible place and when people used to depart to the north, it was considered that it was almost considered that he's never going to return back because it was a tough terrain. There were no dharmashalas, there were no hotels, there were no restaurants to have food, and no European tents, or these days we have all kinds of jackets and all those technologies to keep us warm, and excellent shoes. People buy expensive shoes just to trek on those places, and it's all like that. But when they went, nothing was there. It comes in the discussion. They just went, and they used to depend on the fruits and roots on the tree, on the road, and maybe if you find some ashram of some sadhu and you may get some food, something like that. Especially maybe if next year when things open up, I invite all of you to join for our Badri Kedar Yatras. You will come to understand what Srimad Bhagavatam actually, what mood it carries. Because that's where Vyasdev, that's where the Bhagavatam, that's where Bhagavatam was written, where Saraswati is there. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Mahabharat was born there, Bhagavatam was born there. Everything comes up there. And all these rishis there, they left their bodies there, everything. And that entire terrain is outstanding. You start feeling how these people must have left their bodies. But it struck me in this context that when they left, to walk all these distances is not easy. That means they must be having very fit bodies. They must be having a very good science of how to regulate your body temperatures or how to control it a little bit. Because when you are on a mission to give up your body, you are going to come across many different environments, and because the journey is going to span over a couple of months, so you will be facing many seasons, and in mountains there's no guarantee that you're going to face a good season. So these people must be having good bodies. And when we read Dhritarashtra, he left by igniting body by his own, igniting fire from his own body by his yogic power. When you hear about the departure of the Pandavas, first Draupadi fell, then Nakul, then Sahadev, then Bhim, then Arjun, and then Yudhishthir. All of them fell one by one, and they were walking all the way Satopant. We I don't take treks till Satopan because we never had young people that way in our journey, but we do have a trekking half that distance. But you get a sense of what grand journey these people must have done. So that place to walk, you need some basic fitness. So it basically implies that all these devotees have had good sense of how to maintain their bodies nicely, and also good sense how to maintain the prana or the vital energy, what we in the external sense what we call as breath, but not just breath. I'm talking about the vital breath. Like you can stop breathing for a few seconds, you can close your nose. I saw a YouTube clip on a world record on holding the breath. One person held his breath for 27 minutes straight. 27 minutes and some seconds, you can actually see that. That's not a joke. So prana is not just breathing. It is the essential life force. Means it includes the breath, but it's beyond that. Like you can hold your breath, but you will be alive only when there is prana energy there. So you are not breathing, but there is prana still there, and that prana energy. So basically, that means all these personalities, they had the basic science of Atma, and they understood that Atma, this soul, what we call ourselves, what we refer to ourselves by various names in this body, is actually only an external covering. It's a carriage. It's like, as Srila Prabhupada explains many places, like body is like a vehicle. Atma is just there, a passenger, and that the soul is moving in that cart, or in that cart, in that car or that vehicle. Meanwhile, moving in the vehicle, when we look at each other, we do not identify each other from the point of soul. We identify each other as a man, woman, boy, girl, baby, grown up, adult, old man, old woman, whatever. We identify from our external perspectives. And because of that external identification throughout our lives, which happens right from the beginning, it's very natural for a conditioned living entity to misidentify himself or herself as the body. Now comes here the very big problem. You are the Atma. The Atma is bound in the body. Now, how is the Atma bound with the body? There is a binding factor. Just like if you want to stick two things together, you need a sense of some kind of adhesive or a gum or something. You stick two papers or you stick something together. You need a binding factor, right? So Atma and the Sharir, the soul and the body, they are bound together by means of what is called as prana. One of the element of prana is the breath itself. So for simplistic terms, today we will consider prana as breath. Now, if the Atma wants to realize its full potential, how is it going to realize? Being caged in an external body. And this is where the entire system of yoga and pranayam comes into picture, of asana and pranayam. In the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada, in the, I think the 8th chapter or something, Ashtanga Yoga chapter, there is a mention where Krishna himself gives importance to this whole aspect of Ashtanga Yoga. Ashta Anga. Ashtanga means Ashta Anga. Ashta means 8 and Anga means limbs. 8 limbs of yoga. 8 limbs of yoga. Yoga means that which unites. Now, what is that which unites? Of course, we all, some of you who have been attending satsang since quite some time, you know that's about unification of Atma with Paramatma, soul and the super soul. Okay, that's a definition. But consider that before this definition came about, before this understanding came about, there was this query: what is this unification which this word yoga means? Why is every chapter related or joined with the term as yoga? When Krishna speaks about karma, he does not speak about karma, he speaks about karma yoga. He speaks about dhyana yoga. He speaks about jnana yoga. He speaks about ashtanga yoga. He speaks about bhakti yoga. Why is this yoga coming everywhere? Yoga, because it's talking about unification. Now, when you say unification of two things, now what could be united? Think over this. Before the whole concept or the definition of yoga came into being, in the modern terms I'm talking, 5,000 years ago, the literatures were written, but there is the literatures came in record not 5,000 years ago in the modern calculation of human history. That way, it's not 5,000. Krishna speaks that the same knowledge I gave to sun god in the time at the beginning of creation. So scriptures, the principle is always there. But what we are talking about, the documentation of the terms so that we understand. Today we are learning and reading because somebody translated these works. They took that effort, so I'm talking of that concept. So when yoga was spoken, nobody knew what exactly it means. So the obvious understanding comes is, now that I am here, what are the three elements which I see? There is an Atma and there is Sharir and there is a concept of breath. The moment the breath is disconnected, when the breath is stopped, if somebody makes me stop my breathing, what is going to happen? My body and soul are going to split or become separate. Then they are not going to come back, even if you then artificially try to start putting that ventilator and breathing mechanism. It doesn't really work that way, because pran has gone. Once pran goes away, the breath also goes away. But once the pran goes away, even if you try to put breath in the artificial way, it won't bring the atma back. Pran gone means pran is the vital force. I'm trying to explain how pran is slightly different than the breath. Okay. So when it talks about unity, what is it talking? Is it talking about the unity of body and soul? The word yoga? No. Why not? Because body and soul can never be united for a long time, or let's say an eternal point of time. Their unity is going to be only for some period and subjective to certain conditions, health conditions, age conditions, etc., etc. So that means that cannot be the meaning of the word yoga. Does yoga mean that the body has to be united with some another body? No, that also cannot be. Then does yoga mean that the Atma is united with the breath? No, that's not possible, because these three things are distinct. They come together at one point of time, the body, soul, and the prana or the breath, but they do not remain. That means the word yoga is not concerned with either of these three things directly, unification. Then came the understanding that which can never be separated, that is what can be called as yoga, because having once united, it should not separate. Otherwise, what is the meaning of the word yoga? And then they came to understand that yujyate anena iti yoga means uniting jivatma with the Paramatma, the super soul within oneself. That is yoga. Why? Because in the conditioned state, the Atma or the soul doesn't understand or doesn't realize the full potential of the Lord present in the heart. Just 2 days ago, I was reading something. And it caught my attention. I just fondly made a note of it. That if Krishna is present as Paramatma in our hearts, now he's the whole universe. And he's someone beyond the universe. He's the source of universes. Imagine the whole source of the entire creation and the source of the entire universe is within our hearts. And yet we feel vacuum. Yet we feel lonely, yet we feel alone inside, yet we feel insecure, yet we feel that we need some support, we need something. Look at the cravings, look at the fear and insecurities which are there in our hearts. It is so amazing that the Lord of the universe is present in our heart. The entire universe is in our conscious, in our hearts, and still we feel vacuum, still we feel empty within. That's what is called conditioning, or that is what is called a serious disconnect from our very existence. And that connection has to be made through the process of, through the definition of what is called as yoga. Now comes an important aspect here. Because we are in this body, these 8 limbs or Ashtanga Yoga were explained by Krishna. Some of the limbs we are following meticulously, or we are trying to follow at least. What are those 8 limbs? Yama, Niyama, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar. Yama, Niyama, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. These are the 8 limbs. Yam are the do's which we do regularly. What Prabhupada in a simplistic way, he said, okay, these are the things to be done. We should do this, follow the 4 regulated things, like chant regularly, offer food, engage in Harikatha, follow these processes. These are the do's. Niyam means what you should definitely not do, what you should avoid. There are niyams. Yama, Niyama. Then comes Asan. Yama and Niyam are the preliminary thought processes or definitions which one should put it in your mind intellectually, that these are the things I must do and these are the things I must avoid. Now, how you are going to do? We are not at the level of soul in the form of realization. So we can only act through the body. Now, when you have to act through the body, here comes the biggest challenge. The body is not pure in its own manner. If you want to use your body nicely, you need the body fit. That's where comes the 3rd limb of Ashtanga Yoga, which is called as Asan, the basic exercises which enable one to regulate the flow of energy channels within the body, which keep your mind less burdened by the troubles of life. That is what is called as Asana. Then comes Pranayam. Pranayam means regulating the prana. See what is happening. The soul is covered by a bonding factor called breath, and then a carriage on it, which is called the body. So the body is purified or taken in control through the process of asana. The breath is purified through the process of pranayam. And by doing these 2 things, automatically all those nadis, our body is made up of 72,000 nadis. Nadis are energy channels which flow in the body. They are not like veins and nerves, but different forms of energy channels which flow according to Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So this 72,000, these nadis are purified. What happens by that? By that, a person's mind becomes peaceful. A mind becomes less clouded with materialistic things. Mind becomes less confused. There is a sense of clarity. The biggest problem which the mind has is chanchal, distracting, flickering. And once it starts flickering, it will cause confusions, it will cause lack of discrimination and so many other things. Instability. So how do you regulate that? So Krishna gives this science that you cannot ignore your body because you have it now. The soul is connected to the body. So you have to walk together only. You cannot disobey the body. Those of you who are young, I can tell you one thing. Till 30 or 35 years of age, you can dictate and your body will probably listen to you. Once you cross 35, you will have to negotiate with the body. It will not listen all the time. And once you cross 40 or 45, then the body will make you pay for every single abuse or mistake you did or wrong things you did with it, even since childhood. So body becomes unforgiving. Anything you eat, suddenly problems happen. If you don't sleep enough, suddenly problems happen. So many things happen. So therefore, regulating the body is an extremely essential factor as far as yoga is concerned. I'm not talking of yoga from the exercise point of view. I'm talking yoga from the point of view of uniting the Atma and Paramatma. How can you ignore that very fact of your body? Without breath, you cannot survive. Without body, you cannot function. How can you ignore these two things while you want to make a journey of uniting with the Lord? And that's why this Ashtanga Yoga chapter comes. That's why this aspect of asana and pranayama is told. Then comes the fifth aspect, which is pratyahara, withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. Ahara means food. Every sense has its food. Eyes have its food by seeing what they like. Ears have their food by hearing what they want. So each of the senses is deeply engaged in eating, consuming. Ahara. Prati ahara means, prati means to go towards. So all the senses are going towards that. So you take it away. Pratyahara. Then dharana. Once you brought the senses away, where do you take it? Let's say that those of you who have pets, when you take your dog to for a walk, the dog keeps moving here and there. You have to constantly have a leash on it. You have to keep pulling. No. This is the track. This is the track. So like that, once you pull the senses, where do you take it? There must be a place. So that place is defined by the point of samadhi. That place is the lotus feet of Krishna. The bhakti yogis think that way. Those who are impersonalists, transcendentalists, they may meditate on the Omkar or whatever. So, or the different forms, whichever way, different mantras, we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare. So when we withdraw the senses, where do we bring it? We try to put it there in transcendence. Otherwise, just withdrawing the senses makes no sense. So that is pratyahar. So pratyahar is withdrawing, and dharana means to make an effort to fix it on the lotus feet of the Lord. Dharana means that effort becomes effortless. Now easily you can chant. That is called dhyan. Dharana means you are struggling to chant. Mind is going, you again bring it back. So pratyahar and dharana are more or less the same. Pratyahar is the beginning part of pulling the senses. Dharana is telling, hey, stay here. Dhyan means it says, okay, don't worry, I'm here. Don't give me any more instruction. I will stay at the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, I will chant. Wouldn't it be wonderful? Our mind says like that. Okay, stop bothering me. I will chant, okay? I will not disturb you. Imagine we'll have such a day one day. That is dhyan. And once dhyan gets mature, that is what is called as samadhi. After the point of samadhi, then the unification of Atma and Paramatma take place in fullest extent. This unification is called as yoga. Now, when we talk about International Yoga Day, today, the word, first of all, it is not yoga, it is yoga. Today, the word yoga has been limited to the form of asana. It should ideally be called International Asana Day, where people only talk about your physical exercises and little bit of pranayama. It is good. It must be there. And honestly, that is going to open. And see, this is just the beginning. Sooner or later, people are going to inquire more about it. Once they understand that you can be just healthy by breathing properly, by doing exercises properly. I'm not talking of cardio or these gymnastic kind of exercises. These exercises are unbelievable the way our Vedic literatures teach. Asana and pranayama you can do till the last day of your life. You cannot do gym like that. You cannot do gymnastics like that. Even 90, 100-year-old people can do this. That is what is asana and pranayama. Because it integrates your Atma, your very consciousness at every step. You cannot do an exercise without focusing your mind. You cannot focus your mind without focusing on your breath. When you integrate these three things, automatically one becomes closer to one's own natural self. Automatically you start making genuine queries about Paramatma. You automatically have the jigyasa that I want to understand the Lord. These three things happen automatically. These things happen automatically when these three things are integrated. So someday people are going to say that, okay, exercise and pranayam, but what next? And that's where the real definition of yoga will come. I must say that we all are extremely fortunate that we have learned. Some of you who have never read many scriptures and never gone through the tedious, tiresome effort of breaking your brains, which I have done, unfortunately, for many years, at least 5-6 years before even I took up to reading the Bhagavatam. I'm telling you, it is such a arduous and torturous journey. You start feeling it's a torture when you start understanding the aspect of bhakti yoga. You feel that, oh, because bhakti gives you the whole sense of purpose behind everything. Now that I have purified my body and mind, what should I do? Where should I place my emotions? And this is where bhakti comes into picture. This is where love comes into picture. Without which you will always feel vacant in your heart. So those of you who have been fortunate to just immediately take up to the bhakti process, it's good. But there is also one disadvantage, that you may not probably even understand the rarity of this. And you may miss following it meticulously. You may miss the nuances which are there. In fact, it is only a devotee who can actually give the true sense to the meaning of the word yoga, but not in the fashion of negating the whole aspect of asana and pranayama. All these international yoga days should be actually, that whole festival should be in control of the hands of bhakta or devotees only, who understand the manner of love. What are people going to present? Most of them, they are doing exercises and then drinking beer. They are doing this cannabis yoga. They are doing this ganja yoga and beer yoga, and all these form of yogas are happening. Festivals are happening. What is the point of all of that? People have no idea. And this is not just in the West, even in India. People are fascinated with yoga because it brings wellness and good health. But nobody wants to discuss more about the higher truths. What is the point then? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, that's why I began the discussion with the Srimad Bhagavatam. That these people, like if Dhritarashtra could ignite fire from his body, that means he was a master of the science of Hatha Yoga. It is not possible that you gain some form of mystic abilities or sciences and knowledge without those sciences. You actually make progress in these kind of mystic abilities. It is just not possible. One second. Dhritarashtra had it. Pandavas had it. Bhishma had it. Means they were those class of devotees who had meticulously understood the importance of regulating the breath and the body. Keep your breath healthy, keep your body healthy. Automatically the mind will become basically healthy. Then when you start learning the science of Bhakti Yoga is science of giving a proper shaping or culture to our own emotions. Then you do it well. A very composed or a composite devotee is that devotee who does not ignore his physical body in sense of neglect. Just because I am a bhakti yogi, that means I don't need to take care of my health, or don't need to do exercises, or not need to have fitness. I can just slog randomly and things will happen. No, that's a total insult to the very make of you as a human being. If I, as a bhakti yoga practitioner, when I go to any temple, or when I stay in the temple or do things there, I am expected to take care of the temple properly. I am expected to be dealing with every paraphernalia of the temple properly. Why cannot we understand this aspect nicely, that if I have been given this body which is going to be with me consistently till the last breath of my life, why should I not give some proper time to maintain it properly? I must give. And that is why I generally tell that devotees should not ignore their health. Make health a topmost priority. Especially now, even when Kali Yuga is moving forward, we have no guarantee who will be with us, who is going to be there with us after a couple of years later. We have a prime responsibility to take care. Actually, in the Rig Veda, it is explained that every human who is born, because you are a human and you can do Brahma Jigyasa, one thing is told. As a human being, your aim of life should be that you should strive to live for 100 years. Now, why? There is a context behind this word, this thing. Why roughly 100 years? Because to achieve certain stage of perfection of life, you need to do some level of sadhana, some level of absorption in truth and transcendence. Now, if you keep abruptly dying, you'll have to waste another 15 years of childhood, and by the time your mind grows and matures and you understand things, you're 25 years of age. And actually, when you stabilize with the emotions of life, it takes almost 35 to 40 years where your hormones, the wild youth hormones, they subside, and then you start making sense of life. So why waste 30 years in another life just to progress from your point of where you left bhakti? That's why when you have life, if somebody keeps abruptly dying 60 years, 65, 70, 55, because he doesn't take care of health properly, he's just wasting his time. He needs some amount of time to shape his soul. So he has to be born again now, wait another 20, 25 years, till he does things nicely. So that doesn't happen, one needs to take care of the body. It's a very beautiful way how it's explained. This is the purpose. And there is one cannot do bhakti without that. What is karma yoga? I think we have discussed this earlier. Karma yoga means you have a body, so you have to do certain actions. You have to work. So you work in a way that unites to Lord. Now, what is bhakti without karma yoga? Let's say that I love Krishna so much, therefore I don't do anything. That doesn't really work. Bhakti means devotional service. Prabhupada translated. Now, service means you do something. If you do something, as long as you are healthy and you have a body to do, you do. That means you need to learn the art of karma yoga. Now, to do anything, you need to have a proper mind. You need to have proper discrimination, proper intelligence to do things. That is taken care by Jnana yoga. If a devotee, if there is a devotee who does his action, who does his work without thinking, and he does randomly, you will say that this is a haphazard devotee, this is a wild devotee. Keep him away from the congregation. Give him prasad and that's okay. Just maintain distance. You cannot give him any responsibility. When you say that he's a good devotee, means what? He does good karma and he applies good thought. Means karma yoga and jnana yoga, they are already there in bhakti. Without your mind being proper and without your body being proper, one cannot even conduct oneself in a proper emotional stable condition. Stable bhakti means these elements must be there. At least till the time you are 50, 55, or at least till 60. Once you become old and you are very old, once you have touched old age, then maybe some aspects may not be required. But as long as you are young, as long as your mind and senses are wild and enthusiastic, full of life and full of hopes and ambition, undying ambition, one should understand that you need to bind it properly with Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga. That's how you chant properly. That's how you will be able to do your puja, archana, all the other sevas and sadhanas properly. Make a life glorious by making sense of this International Yoga Day in your own ways. In fact, devotees should conduct these sessions of yoga, all these asana sessions. Some of the devotees should invite so many people. Let this be a part of our movement actually. And let us teach that with the body and with the breath, teach them the science of emotions. We have to exploit such opportunities, which is been coming now these days. Anyways, I'll stop here. Thank you all very much. If anyone has any questions or comments, most welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So you explained about Yama Niyama and going until Dhyana and Samadhi. So at least for me, I feel in the first place itself of Yama and Niyama, which you said is the base go until Samadhi. So how do we aspire, maybe what is the way to get until at least until dhyana, not even samadhi I'm talking about, but the dhyan where if I'm chanting, my mind supports me and says yes, you're all good to chant, and my mind is not getting distracted. So what should be my way to get my mind on japa and meditating on Lord?
See, all the limbs, in the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8th part, which is called as Samadhi, forget about that, because that's not where we do anything at all. It's just a state of absolutely stabilized or absolute stability or a state of equilibrium. But the first 7, they are where we need to struggle a little bit now. And it never happens that first I do the Yama and Niyam. It never happens like that. All these work simultaneously. So to the degree I do Yama, that degree I will be able to do Niyam also. And to that degree I will be able to do Asana. And to that degree I will be able to do Pranayam also. It's like that. For example, if somebody wants to do Pranayam, he needs to be basically having some peace of mind to sit properly. Na? Shanti se baitho aur pranayam karo. Like I have heard many devotees, or many people rather, who say that I can do jogging, I can do running, I can do gymming and all that, but yogasana is very difficult. Why? Because it requires patience. So to go to the gym and walk on a treadmill or run on a treadmill and put some disco or techno or this kind of music, it's like just your full passion engagement. But when yogasana is not possible with passion, it forces you to become patient. It forces you to cultivate patience. So once you cultivate patience, you are cultivating that level of goodness. Once you come to Sattva Gun, then following the Yam and Niyam become relatively easier. Automatically, Asana Pranayam also become little bit easier. Pratyahar becomes easier. For everything we do, mode of goodness is required. Anything you want to do in spirituality. So mode of goodness is required. So now coming to this, the specific point, so that was the first part, that it's not that one will be achieved then the next. Everything goes simultaneously. Now, how can we at least focus on chanting? I think last time when I was there, maybe I spoke to some devotees, or maybe I spoke in the class, but at least I spoke to some devotees. I follow this and I recommend this. Do not immediately start chanting. Have few minutes of preparation to the mind. Tell your mind. First do some Anulom Vilom, if you know that those breathing exercises. This is Surya Nadi, this is Chandra Nadi. The right nostril is Surya Nadi, which regulates the body temperatures and body movement, body energies. And the left nostril is the Chandra Nadi, which regulates mind. So these are basic things. Do 5 times Anulom Vilom. Within 3 to 4 minutes, your mind will become a little bit peaceful. And then tell the mind that, my dear mind, I am there with you the whole day. I have been with you for many lives and I will definitely be with you. I am never going to ignore you. You are very dear to me. Don't challenge your mind. Tame it like that. Say you are very dear to me and you have been very loyal to me and I have also been very loyal to you. We both love each other. We cannot live without each other. But next 30 minutes, next 1 hour, please, can you do this for me? Can you just sit at the feet of Krishna? Something like that. I was taught by one of my family gurus that whenever you do sadhana, take out your mind. He told me, take a beautiful cloth in your hand. Now this is only Manas Puja. Take the cloth in your hand. Imagine that you are taking out your mind and very respectfully tell the mind that please be seated at the feet of Krishna. Meanwhile, you are also happy there and I am also chanting. After that, we will unite again. So even till day today, whenever I chant, I do this. 5 minutes of exercise. It does not work for 1.5 hours of 16 rounds, but it definitely works for those 15-20 minutes. It gives me the most satisfied quality japa. And slowly that intensity increases. Little bit, day by day, day by day. Do it. That's how you can increase dharana. What most people do is when they wake up, they have too many schedules to follow, too many WhatsApp messages to reply, too many things to do. Their mind is scattered even in the devotional domain. It's just flickering here and there. You don't know what to do. 100 devotees give you 100 pictures of 100 deities and you have to respond to everything or whatever keeps on going. No, it's time for sadhana. Phone aside. Right now, nothing is important to me than me and the Paramatma. This is a time for me to try to unite. At least if not for 1.5 hours of my japa, at least I will unite for 10 minutes, which is not much. Try that. See if it works and let me know.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's really wonderful. I'll definitely try it out.
Give 5 minutes every day. Give 5 minutes to just say, be conscious about what you're trying to do. It's not much of a time.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, this is Madhav Kantadas. I have a question. So Monday we have a Nirjala Ekadashi. So again, as we all know, this is very austere, right? And without water. Now, the Ashtanga Yoga that you explain, of course, there is the intent, and second part is you prep your body also. So, do you see this connected, like where Ashtanga Yoga help us in preparing severe austerities? For example, Nirjala Ekadashi, etc.
See, Ashtanga Yoga is not about severe austerities. Again, I'll let you know one thing. There are two texts. Ashtanga Yoga is, Krishna explains these principles. When you read Patanjali Yoga Sutras, these are the main text of where what is Ashtanga Yoga. There's a definition of what is Yama. Santosha Shaucha, this is all is called Yamaha. Ahimsa Satyam Asteya, Brahmacharya Aparigraha Yamaha. This is Yama. Then what is Niyama? There are definitions of all the Ashtanga. These are the things you should follow. These are things you should avoid. These are things to do's and don'ts, like that, you know. But nowhere in the sutras, Patanjali, who is the sage who compiled the sutras, he says that all these things should be sukha, basically. It has to be performed with sense of ease and with a sense of comfort. Not means being lazy, but in the sense that do not overstretch yourself in anything that you develop a sense of distaste for that. So the stretching of our ability in doing any form of tapasya has to be, how I define like this. See, if I can sit nicely for 30 minutes, I will now stretch myself to 35 minutes. I will not go to 2 hours. Like for example, you know the lotus pose, right? Padmasana. We sit in Padmasana. You know Padmasana, Madhakandra?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so now some people can sit in Padmasana for 2 minutes. Some can sit for 10 minutes. Now, if you meet a yogi or if you go to the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which is the actual text of all these terrific asanas. So that's a different text. Patanjali Yoga Sutras, they speak about how to regulate mind and body, focusing, keeping transcendence in picture. Hatha yoga focuses on asana and pranayam, exactly what exercises to do, how to bend, how to breathe, and so on. So that's a very physically enduring process. So, but Patanjali never recommends, or neither the Ashtanga yoga which Krishna explained, they do not recommend that there is a final posture which you have to attend. No. From wherever you are, say, let's say the final state is 100. If you are at 20, what is your challenge? You do 21, you do 22. So if you are doing Nirjala Ekadashi or whatever you are doing, one should try to do little bit from where he is, one should extend that. Now that extension also requires a sense of preparation. If I am feasting till today evening just because it's going to be Nirjal tomorrow, then I'm going to feel very hungry tomorrow also. I have to start minimizing my food content and start keeping it simple 1 or 2 days before, so that mind becomes peaceful, so that it's not craving. That is the first requirement. And then do it. If you have bodily problems, you don't need to do it. If you have physical problem, if you cannot endure it, don't do it. Do it with fruits, do it with water, do it with milk, do it with Ekadashi food. In fact, there are many quotes. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he saw that in his ashram, some of the brahmacharis, they would do all these extreme austerities of extreme. We are saying it's extreme, but I know many devotees who do it with ease. Even in US, they are working, they can manage it well because they have trained their body that way. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur saw that some disciples, they would say that every Ekadashi they will do Nirjala, and then on that day, barely they would be able to even chant their rounds properly because their body is malnourished, and then they are feeling sleepy and drowsy throughout the day, doing nothing and just loitering around and being spaced out. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur saw this and got upset. He said, "Why are these people behaving like this?" So then they were told that no, these people are doing Nirjala. He got so upset. He said, "Okay, if you are feeling so malnourished and that you cannot do anything, then better eat, but do your services and your duties properly." And then he went to say that if still you cannot do things properly, eat grains, but do not neglect any aspect of devotional service. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, one who did not eat mango his entire life since the age of 4 because he felt he offended the Lord. That person who is so strict, he says, if you cannot function or do anything at all because you are doing Nirjala Ekadashi, it's as if you are favoring the entire creation now and you need to be pampered. Then eat grains, but do service. Keep yourself humble. We do not want people who think that they can accomplish great austerities, but while they do nothing, but they just puff, their egos get puffed up. So that the essence of bhakti is quite different. So, of course, Nirjala Ekadashi is a day that at least all the devotees strive. It's not just Nirjala, even Krishna Janmashtami devotees strive. So make a preparation one more day. And take it out of the mind that it's a very, what do we call, harsh or extreme. It's not harsh, it's not extreme, first of all. You can just not run that day, don't do any exercises that day, do your basic things. For many years, when I used to do all Ekadashis, I used to follow Nirjala many years ago. Now I don't do all of them, I do 3-4 a year. But that time I would see that when I would not do service, I would feel more hungry. So actually on the day of Nirjala Ekadashi, I would get into the temple kitchen, I would cook for others, I would serve everybody and I would do that. And I would never have any problem. But when I sat just in the room, that would be a big problem. Now my body doesn't support, so I don't do. And in fact, I think not last year, I could not even do Nirjala Ekadashi. The Pandav Nirjala Ekadashi. I missed it. Means I did till around 4 or 5 p.m. in the evening, and then I felt my body cannot take it. So times change, things change for everybody in different ways. We have to understand that. Don't take it too much in a ritualistic sense that way. I hope it helps you in some way.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. A very nice class. I have a question.
Hare Krishna.
About, I mean, the purpose that for the devotees who are doing yoga exercises is to keep the body fit. That's what I would think. And Prabhupada was talking about yoga, what people are doing yoga exercises. They're doing yoga exercises just to keep the body fit, not to understand the ultimate goal, which is Krishna. So for devotees, they already understand the ultimate goal. And Prabhupada said, why do yoga exercise to keep the body fit? You know, if you want to keep the body fit, you can do any exercise. Why do you have to do yoga exercise? So he's pointing out in this particular instance, at least, that yoga exercise is ultimately to understand Krishna. So, but he's also saying that any exercise can keep the body fit. So you were kind of saying why yoga is more important for keeping the body fit than, or better. I know it's more in the mode of goodness, but how is it better for keeping the body fit?
During the time of Prabhupada, this whole yoga movement, which is there all over the world, as you said, it's about exercises, but specifically it does not even focus on the basic exercises. It is more about the Hatha yoga practices. Hatha yoga practices are those physical practices which enable our chakras and help in the sense of deliverance, that impersonal way of transcendence, whatever is described. So Prabhupada would specifically, when he referred to yoga exercises, he referred to those specifically Hatha yoga texts, which many of the devotees thought that unless we achieve that level of bending and that kind of thing, and that, so I think we discussed in that session also that when we speak about keeping our body healthy, now we can do any kind of exercises. So okay, somebody can do gymming, somebody can do let's say swimming, and basic walking and jogging are very common exercises. Okay, but I'm talking about those who do gymnastic kind of exercise or a lot of lifting of weights and those kind of exercises. So those things are absolutely not required. And for that, when we talk about any exercises, then we talk about basic yogic exercises like Surya Namaskar, what is Surya Namaskar? It gives a little bit of stretching to all the limbs of the body. That's it. Some little bit of twisting of your spine to keep your stomach better, to keep your shoulders better. All those basic stretching exercises form the basic preliminary yogic exercises. What this whole world is mad about today is walking on the path of Hatha yoga texts, which these teachers like BKS Iyengar and many others did, was taking Hatha yoga as the goal in itself, which is what is not required. And when devotees don't need to follow that kind of exercises at all. Now, if somebody has a very regular swimming habit and regular walking and all, some kind of exercises which he does very well, where the entire body is taken care of nicely, it's fine. But if those things are not there, then might as well, like yesterday, I think 2 days ago, I was talking to Prannath Prabhu, that at least in summer times, you have such a nice sun and weather there, go out, swim, jog, do some sports. But in winter times, when you cannot go outside, at that time, at least do basic stretching, Surya Namaskar, some basic yogic exercise, which we can do in our closed rooms also. So that's what I meant actually. And Prabhupada was more against the concept of Hatha yoga. When he says about these things are not required, it's the Hatha yoga which is referred.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. Thank you. Haribol.
Now seeing how the nature of the world is changing and how people are moving to different things, I think that devotees, if there is a vegetarian movement, it should be headed by a devotee, because devotee can make sense to what to do after being vegetarian. Like you have these people for ethical treatment of animals, but there is no sense to it beyond something. Similarly, even if there is an exercise movement going on, then devotees only should be take charge of it. Just like we give good prasad and we give good thoughts, we give good exercise and then make them do kirtan and then give them the higher philosophy. Use everything as a tool. That's my understanding. Not to ignore these opportunities.
Will you be coming here anytime soon and be able to teach us some Hatha Yoga exercises?
Yeah, I can teach some basic exercises which I follow and that anybody can do. In fact, within a month, you all will be so amazed that with your own selves, it's really wonderful. I just do some 10, 15 exercises, which are very basic. Anyone can do that. And I think there are some members in congregation also that will do that in Hartford congregation.
Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam, Pranam Govindas. While you stay with us and the way you were doing, I mean, Nandagopal and Tanmay Prabhu was really not able to follow all, the steps which we were doing, and you were really into it. I don't remember all the names of asanas, but I must tell you that, you were almost, more.
I was there only for 4 days. How can you do
Yeah.
anything 4 days? You never even learned it. You were just seeing it. So there's difference in that. It's very easy. It's very easy. I'm not an expert in anything.
Yeah, but your fitness level, everything was so high compared to us when you were doing. So that is what, inspired us. Very well.
Hare Krishna Jagannath Priya Prabhu, Anand
Krishna.
Govinda Das and Amrit Keli Das here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I don't have a question, but I just want to share something that, we moved to this house in Farmington 5 years ago, and we've been fortunate enough in those last 5 years to host some devotees and specifically brahmacharis from the Chowpatty congregation. And what I observed was that we spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on health insurance in the US. We pay premium every month. And even after that, we have to meet our deductible before insurance starts paying, when we need to claim. And the brahmacharis who visited and stayed with us, their primary insurance was Krishna and their secondary insurance was yoga. Everybody did like good yoga in the morning for like 45 minutes, 1 hour. And I did feel that, they are doing this so that they can keep themselves fit to serve Krishna better. So, it did give me an aspiration to, at some point, learn yoga and again, to keep myself fit so that I can serve my family and I can serve Krishna better. So what you said today completely resonated with what I was thinking and observing.
Mataji, we are the most minority class of people on the planet. And as I add years to my life, I cannot feel more, I just feel more humbled by the effort which Prabhupada did. He simply made things so clear by giving a very clear picture. Everything falls in place. Now, having known this, all we need is to just carry the legacy forward in some form. So not to miss that chance by some silly things if they fall in our life and we cannot take care of it. So I feel devotees must take care of themselves because we are a minority. Very few people are aspiring for the truth. I'm not saying any congregation that we are the best of the people. No, there are a lot of problems in every congregation. All devotees are struggling with their lives and with their consciousness, but still they are aspiring for the supreme truth. This is the rarest thing. People don't have a genuine desire. Now, if we do not take care of ourselves from this aspect or do not inspire to take care of ourselves there, then we'll become even more minority. I feel that devotees should have a long and healthy life because they only can make sense to living. So hence, anyways, You all pray for me that I can continue my sadhana and keep my health, everything intact. Nicely.
Anand Karanga Prabhu is making a mental note. When should we have the yoga camp with you?
Yeah. Yoga means it's a bhakti yoga camp.
Yeah, Bhakti
Exercise
yoga.
is only 1 hour of it.
1
a day.
hour,
Then
yeah.
we have nice discussions on Bhagavad, Kirtan, everything. We do not need this international yoga day kind of a asan camp. No. That's not of our interest at all.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should I stop here, Prabhuji?
Are there any other questions or comments, realizations? We can end here now, Jagannath Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay.
Hey.
कृपा सिंधु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, जगन्नाथ प्रिय हिज ग्रेस जगन्नाथ प्रिय दास की जय।
जय
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण।